Yes.
Hi, Brianna. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I'm Brianna, everybody. So do I start now?
Sure. Let me stop my video because the last time we had a guest speaker, the connection was bad. So I'll turn it off and on just to save bandwidth.
Okay. So
Go for
hi,
it.
everybody. I'm Brianna Aceituno. I went to MHS and Sure High School, but I spent most of my time at MHS. I went there from my freshman to junior year, and then my senior year I went to Sure, and I'm class of 2018. Oh yeah, so here's a picture of me graduating. After high school, I went to Cal State University, Northridge, and I'm currently majoring in public health with a minor in human lactation. And for those who don't know what public health, it's the science and art of preventing disease, promoting health, and prolonging life. So basically, public health, like kind of just, they pass laws on, well, you see it every day in your life. Like, why do you wear a seatbelt? That's public health, because there is a lot of accidents kept happening, people kept dying, and it became a public health issue. And then they did research, and now it's a law. So
Can I ask you a little bit about high school, or were you going to do that?
Oh yeah, okay.
There you go. But feel free as you're going to talk about, like, depending how personal you want to get. What was it like for you, right, as a student? What were your responsibilities? Did you have a lot going on? How did you? One question I always like to learn, even for myself, is like, how did you manage to get through things when they were difficult? But do you remember, like, what were you like as a high school student?
Oh God, I think I took on more than I needed to, honestly. I think I was way too involved. I was in P Club, Avid Club, ASB, and then all the other sports that I did, which was like basketball, track, and cross country. And then I think I had like a leadership role in each club that I did, or just about. And I remember feeling overwhelmed at times, and it just felt like a lot, but somehow I pulled through. I don't know how exactly I did it. And then on top of that, I had my personal life. Mr. D knows this. My home life wasn't really the prettiest. I did have a mother who struggled with addiction. I am one of the oldest of six. Yeah, there's six of us. I have an older brother, and then it's me. I'm the second oldest. So I was at the same time raising my younger siblings. And it was really overwhelming because I also live in a 1-bedroom apartment, and there is like 9 of us living there. So I had no time to actually study or do homework. I remember I'd go to sleep like at 7 or 8 after I came after practice, and then I'd wake up like at midnight and do homework until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I'd get ready for school after that, because I had ASB and it would start like at 6 in the morning. So it was just, I remember feeling tired a lot.
It's interesting. I had the exact same schedule. I'd come home, take a long nap, get up and do homework until however long it takes, 2 or 3 or whatever long it takes. That's a lot of dedication. Do you feel, I personally felt, I don't know, do you feel that you had a lot more responsibility being the daughter, or did your brother do the same or more work than you, or did you kind of have to do a little extra more than your brother?
I think I did a lot more, but I don't know, just if you probably ask him, he was like, I probably did more, yada yada yada. But I think as a woman, I think we just feel more empathy, and I just felt like I had to constantly be helping my mother, my siblings, and then with my grandpa too. It was just really hectic. I do gotta say, I did feel more pressured to be involved, especially in my younger siblings' lives. It was just a lot.
How did you, it may be hard to answer. Do you know what drove you to be involved in all these things still, despite being so busy?
Actually, yes. I actually had an aha moment like last year, because I was like, why am I still involved? But growing up, my I was raised by my grandparents, and they're like hardcore Catholics, and they were always involved with the community. They did a lot of community service, and they'd often like um, take me and my brother with them. So in my heart, I was like, oh, I need to give back to my community, and I think I really stressed that, and even into college, because I didn't know. I remember going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to major in, and I also really felt pressured in knowing in high school. Um, so I think I applied to CSUN as a sociology major. Realized I did not like writing as much essays, um, and it didn't. I didn't find it as appealing to me. And then I became undeclared, and I think I wanted to go into radiology, but then I was too indecisive. One thing about me is I'm super indecisive, so I couldn't tell you what I wanted to do, because I wanted to do a little bit of everything. And then I found I discovered public health, and with public health, you could literally do anything with it. And public health is all about giving back to your community, and yeah, that's about giving back to the community. And I really like that aspect, despite which part of public health you wanted to do.
So you said, just so the students know, CSUN is Cal State Northridge, and you said you started in sociology and then you completely changed over to public health. Do you remember in high school, but even for college, what kind of things did you do when you were getting overwhelmed? How did you kind of cope or get through? Was there anything in particular you did, or something to help you relieve stress, or something you relied on when things got overwhelming or tough?
Not gonna lie, I think I'd cry to Mr. D when I get overwhelmed. It was really nice talking to someone and not being judged by how you felt. And Mr. Dosik was that person for me. I think I would wear it on my face, like if I wasn't okay, because Mr. Dosik just knew when things at home or I was just getting overwhelmed. I don't know how, he just did. And he'd be like, hey, do you want to talk outside? And I'm like, okay. And then I just start like crying. And it was pretty funny. But in terms of, for me, if I wasn't talking to somebody, I would take long, deep breaths. And honestly, I'd also go into my restroom and just lay in the tub, like no water, just fully clothed, just laying in my tub. And I don't know, just the silence made me just come back. Like I feel like once you feel like you're stressed out, you might get tunnel vision, and it's hard to think about other things and like what your reaction to a certain situation might be. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I just isolate myself, take a deep breath, think what should I do, or prioritize. Let's just say like I had club meetings and homework, and I was also in the YMCA youth and government delegation after school. So I'd prioritize like, hey, what's more important right now? And then I'd go off my list. And if I could do everything, good. But if I couldn't, I wasn't too hard on myself, because I know it could be overwhelming and I didn't want to experience burnout. So
I think sometimes we overlook how important it is to be still. So when you talk about being in the bathtub, I just think of just being still and just doing something quiet and still, and letting yourself kind of sort things out without thinking about them. Just being still sometimes has a huge effect when we're stressed or depressed or frustrated. With you and your family, I've always felt a special connection. Like, I don't know if you remember, I think it was you were playing basketball one time, and we at I think Alhambra, and I just happened to have a lot of clothes and blankets and stuff I was going to donate. And I saw your mom and brother there, and saw they were going to like walk and get the bus to go home. And I asked them if they wanted the stuff, and I would have like never guessed. So a lot of the times, I guess I didn't know that you were struggling when I talked to you, or I didn't know your family was really even struggling at the time. As a teacher's perspective, I didn't see anything in you other than a very courageous student, hardworking, very determined, very involved. So I didn't know a lot of your home life situation until you shared it probably much later. I think we tend to do that. We tend to keep it to ourselves. So you can continue with where you're at here. What are
Oh
some
yeah.
things you're involved in, and how do you stay balanced? I don't want to get you too far off track.
No, you're fine. So because of everything I was in and feeling really overwhelmed in high school, I realized I did not want to do that in college. So let's see, do I have it here? Okay, so not going to lie, my freshman year of college was pretty easy. If you can, I recommend not working your freshman year of college, especially if you dorm, only because college is a whole different ballpark than high school. You have to figure out a lot of like your own study methods. You're literally an adult. No one's holding your hand in college. You're responsible for your own well-being. Um, so I remember someone gave me that advice to not work your first year of college, and I'm really grateful that I did, um, because I wouldn't be as involved with school. I wouldn't probably make as many friends as I did freshman year. Especially, I lived on campus, but it was still hard for some people to make friends, those who I saw that were constantly working, because they had no time. But they would just go to school, then work, then sleep, and they felt like they were missing out.
I think it is a very, not overwhelming, but it's a very big difference and a transition. So people told me something also, I didn't take that advice, is don't take too many units. So your first year, first semester, don't take 16, 17 units. Try 12, 13, 14, and don't work. They also said that. Like really get yourself into college mode and get your ground footing before you take off and do all these other things. So that's very good advice.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, my freshman year, I took out a loan. It wasn't a big loan, I think, because I knew I have to put myself through college. None of my family was helping me, so I did apply to scholarships. I got some, and on top of that, I did take out like a safety loan just in case if I did run out. And I don't want to be in a predicament where I couldn't pay for school just in case I had to pay for whatever reason. Um, so I think it was like 2 grand maybe, and it did help. It did come in, yeah, 2,000. It did help in the long run because I think I had to pay for like my meal plan, which was like 3 grand, but I had money saved up. So it was just hectic. So
Some
with
people like us, I feel, grew up poor. We were very afraid of loans. And some people don't realize you could take a loan and give it right back if you don't use it. So you don't have to use it if you don't need to. So sometimes what you did is a great idea, to have a backup loan just in case. And if you use it, great. If not, pay it back. But just, you have to be disciplined not to go spend it on stuff that you don't need.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. I did also take out like a safety loan my sophomore year, and I did not use it. I still have it in my bank just in case for whatever reason. So let's see. Okay. College, I did not want to be as involved because I remember feeling overwhelmed in high school. My freshman year, I did well in school. It wasn't until my second year when I started working, and I was working really, really bad and odd hours. I'd work at 3 in the morning, get off at 11 uh, in the morning, and then I had class at 12 until like 5 or 6 p.m. and then homework on top of that. And I wouldn't go to bed until like 11 or 12, depending on how much homework I had. And then again, I would go back to work at 3 in the morning. So that really messed with my academic GPA. I think that was one of those times I ever experienced a really, really low GPA. Well, it wasn't really low, but it was low for what I'm used to. It was like a 2.6776, maybe. One of those two. And I remember feeling like a failure for some reason because I was always on top of my game, but then having this switch made me feel like I was really incompetent. So I remember feeling really like sad because I didn't know. None of my family went to college besides my older brother, but he wouldn't really help me. Like I had to figure out the process on my own. His mentality was like, I did it on my own, so should you, which is kind of messed up. But yeah, navigating through that was kind of hard on me. So then I realized I had to figure this out on my own in order to find out what works best for me. So I think this was my sophomore year. That was my first the fall semester. So spring semester came around. I decided to get more involved with school in terms of I'd constantly seek out to help. First off, the pandemic happened, and I was constantly seeking help from my professors. I was surprised some of my professors answered because I was like emailed them when I was doing homework like at 3 in the morning, and they'll reply right away. I'm like, how are you up? This is crazy. But then I realized that they're there to help you. And some professors they give it their all. And it was really nice knowing that I had that kind of support. Let me see, what else did I do? I'll talk about like my study method, and I also included picture at the end of how my note taking has changed.
Oh, thank you. When you have here, before you go to the next slide, what was URISE? What was that?
Okay, so yes, I haven't talked about this. So my current involvement is URISE. It's undergraduate research.
Oh, okay.
So I forgot the abbreviation stands for, but it's for, I guess, it's a program directed for minorities or targeted minorities to pursue STEM careers and to eventually get a PhD in something STEM related. So with this program, I applied out of a whim the end of my sophomore year. You had to have like a really high GPA and there's so many requirements, but I was like, oh, I was underqualified to say the least. Cause I remember reading some of the stuff and I was like, oh, I don't have this. I don't have experience. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna apply. And if I get in, great. If I don't, great. At least I could say I tried. And I did my interview. And then like 3 days later, they're like, oh, you're in. And it's a 2-year commitment plan. And at that time, I had just finished my sophomore or junior, one of those two. But point is now I'm a 5th year, I'm going into my 5th year. So with this program, it opened up a whole wide range of other doors. I didn't know that you could be in the professor's lab. So the second picture is my current lab that I'm in. It's called Visual Information Science and Neuroscience Lab. So I'm a public health major. My lab is cognitive psychology. So we deal with a lot of like ADHD, VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, a lot of more modern technology stuff and how it affects our brain, like neurons and eye movement and attention. So we actually just did a study about TikTok, and apparently it increases your sustained attention. It's pretty funny. So yeah, now it was fun learning different things besides from what you're used to. And then I recently got into another program as of like 2 days ago or yesterday. It's called Sally Casanova, which is another, it's a pre-doctoral program aimed to help. They provide you with like scholarships to apply to schools that you normally, or if you couldn't afford or you wouldn't normally apply. They also provide you with a lot of like networking, mentorship. Oh my gosh, I can talk. So I was really shocked on getting into that one because this program is open to all Cal states. And once again, I felt really like my essays weren't that great. And when I was reading my friend's essay who also applied to that program, I was like, oh my gosh, yours are really good. And then I thought she was going to get in. And then I found out that I was the only one only one who got in my school. I think I experienced like a little mini like imposter syndrome because I didn't feel qualified, and I had to convince myself that I am qualified for for this position, I guess. And
I think a lot of our students underestimate themselves. Like I don't know if you knew George Salazar. I don't remember if he's around your ear. Yeah. He went to Cal State LA. Same thing. He got involved. He started working with the business club. The number 1 and number 2 accounting firms in the United States both gave him an offer. And wow. There's a tendency to feel like, oh, I'm a fake. They don't know. No, everybody's human and everybody's not perfect. And I think we don't realize how valuable the perspective is of the students from Montebello, and where we come from and what we've been through have made us in a lot of ways stronger along the way. So go ahead and continue. I was curious though, I remember writing a recommendation for you. Was it for you, Rise?
It was for you, Rise, and I got in.
So it seems like a lot of our guest speakers talk about how when they got involved, all these opportunities and people they met and connections and even scholarships and other things, it opened doors. So it's, again, something I keep trying to make my students hear.
Yes.
But I also hear that you're saying you want to go and get a graduate degree. That's amazing. That's very good. That, again, we think that there's only a bachelor's when most of our students are qualified and they're able to go further if they want to.
I definitely agree. And also with this program and being in labs, they stress the importance of applying to summer internships.
Summer.
I didn't know about this. I feel like I did, but no one really emphasized it because I wasn't really exposed to it growing up. But it does help when you're trying to apply to a master's or a PhD program. They
want experience. They want real life experience.
So this summer, I will be doing my summer internship with USC. I also got accepted into, I think, the last one I got accepted to was Duke, but they didn't offer housing. So I went with the better option. They give me a stipend and housing covered at USC. So I'll be doing statistics or biostatistic research on cardiovascular disease. So
good for you. Congratulations. I didn't know that you applied to that program.
I did, thank you. Okay, so just study tips real quick. For me, I realized after that semester I did really bad that I needed to change my study habits. So what I would do first, some of my classes were online. Some professors also like screen recorded their lectures. So I would watch the lecture first. And then after I was done, I'd go back, take notes. And then maybe I'd watch it a second time, I think, or I'd ask my professor questions. And on my notes with a different colored pen, I would write like additional comments. Something that really helped me was teaching someone the lesson. I would constantly, I'm pretty sure this annoyed my boyfriend at the time, but I'd constantly be teaching him the lesson. Sometimes he found it really interesting. When it came to math, he was just like yawning, but he would try doing the problem on his own after I described it. And if he got stuck somewhere, I knew I did something wrong. So
I would say tutoring people is always, people around you, friends, tutoring each other, helping each other, study sessions. It's always very valuable, more than we realize.
Yes. So I realized I put a 3 and a 4, but attending office hours is really helpful. I cannot stress that enough. Teachers want to help you. And oftentimes they hold office hours, and each semester I hear professors complaining that no one attends these office hours. And you build a greater connection when you do attend those office hours. I can't stress it enough. Like people, eventually, if you want to apply for a master's or PhD program, you have to ask your professors for a letter of recommendation. And if they don't know anything about you, it's really hard to add on or write about you, if that makes sense. Because I know one of each semester, my professors would say in the beginning of the semester, like, hey, don't ask me for a letter of recommendation if you did not attend office hours, or if you didn't establish like a communication or relationship. And yeah, it's really important to make those relationships, because
I think the same is true in high school, right? The more connections you make with some teachers, coaches, others in programs, they're able to say, I don't want to brag, but my recommendations have seems like people tend to get what they apply for. And it's not because of me, it's because I know them a little better than usual. And I was an English major, so I know how to try my best to tell all the great qualities that they have. And our students have great qualities, but if we don't know them or ever really connect with them, what could we say other than general stuff that everybody says?
Yes, I definitely agree. Last but not least, a whiteboard. I could not, I love my whiteboard. I would use it for everything. Before I believe my freshman sophomore year, I was taking a lot of math classes, and I remember being so annoyed of how much paper I was wasting because I was getting a problem wrong. And I felt like once I got a whiteboard, I don't know, and it just reminded me of high school. Like I like writing on whiteboards. And two, I was able to see the problem, work it out, and then if it looked correct, if I was right, I write it back down on my paper. So you're doing the problem twice, if that makes sense.
No,
And
that's a good idea.
and what
They
else?
have even digital whiteboards I've seen for like $20-$25, where it's basically a digital whiteboard, and you don't have to use ink. You just write with a magnet pen, and that's a very good idea. I like the idea that you're doing it on the board, but then again on your paper, and that time and effort makes it really stick in your mind.
It does, because sometimes I'll try, like after I did it on the board, I wouldn't look at the board. I'll do the problem again to see if I understood it. And if I didn't, I'm like, oh gosh, I need to go look back and see what I did. And if I did it correctly again, I was like, okay, I actually understand this. So it was really nice knowing that. And I also like brainstorming on my whiteboard. Well, I had my whiteboard. I gave it to my sister when she needed help with school. So it also helped with my siblings. I bought them all whiteboards because they realized how it helped me, and they started using it for their own school problems or homework they had. So it was nice seeing that I had an influence on my siblings in a positive manner. So, so here are just some pictures of my notes. It won't make any sense at the moment, but if you had chemistry with Miss Martinez, I think, I'm not sure if she's still working there.
No, she moved to Riverside.
Oh, okay. Well, she's one of. What happened?
I was just gonna say, but she's still out there teaching.
Oh, nice.
She used to be our cheer coach and our chemistry teacher.
Oh, cool. Yes, yes. So I remember in her chemistry class was one of the first times we made an index, and I thought it was like pointless and dumb. Like I didn't understand why she made us do it. But then when I went to college, and if you're taking like some really hard courses that really emphasize what's a lot to remember, they let you use your notebook for test. And I literally wrote what was on each page. So if when I was taking a test, I could just quickly skim through it if need be. So I would emphasize making an index if you are taking hand notes or even like digital notes. And for my statistic class, I remember I would watch the lecture first and maybe highlight a few things that I found really important that they talked about. And then once I finish watching the notes, I'll take additional little notes and have side comments at the bottom or on the side. Same here. This is one of my public health courses. I'll take down my original notes, watch the lecture, and then I'll add comments that she made or examples that I could reference later if I needed help. And I also did in my notes a lot of like little diagrams or pictures so I could better understand what they were talking about. And I realized, or at least for me, having pictures was better because I understood the concept more. And in my mind, it's like, oh, this picture meant this. And then I could quickly write about it because I felt like I understood the topic more.
Very good.
You guys have questions?
You have questions. Anybody have questions? I have one about, you said you did something with YMCA leadership. What was that, and how did you learn about that, and what did you do there?
Okay, so I remember for the YMCA every year of high school I was a camp counselor. So every summer we'd go up. I was in charge of like 10 or 12 kids, and with that, the person who led that camp counseling situation, they also started a new program called YMCA Youth in Government. It was, I think in Montebello, it's called the mock delegation. And with that, you get experience in government. Like you have like 3 trips to Sacramento, I believe. And then on the last one, you pretend that you're a lawyer, senator, House representative, and you actually go through the process. And I realized through that experience that I did not want to do anything with government. It wasn't for me.
They still have that. It's for juniors and seniors, so you all know, could keep an eye out for it. It's a really good experience too. Like if you think you want to be a lawyer or work in government, it really lets you go through the process, and they take all these high school students to Sacramento, and you actually go in from, I don't know if it was the same with you. You go in the Capitol building where the lawmakers are, and you actually go through the motions as if you were lawmakers. So it's a very good experience.
It was fun, I gotta say. It was it was definitely something I wouldn't have done if I wasn't told about it. And I remember like doing a lot of outreach and making my friends join. And you meet a whole bunch of people. I'm still keep in contact with people I met there. And it's kind of crazy because even in college, I remember freshman year, I met a lot of people that were involved in Y&G, and we had like something that we could relate to and make like a connection. It was pretty interesting. I was like, oh my gosh, they weren't kidding when they said that with Y&G, it's a lot of networking. So that was really fun. Yeah.
What's some of the fun stuff or good stuff that like makes college so awesome or worthwhile in your opinion?
Ooh, the independence. Give me 1 sec. It's the one in Petco on Tampa near Costco.
Yeah, you should receive it.
No, just like I have an appointment for.
That's for sure.
Yes. Sorry, my dog's getting groomed. So
I was gonna say, can we see your dog? But your dog's leaving.
Maybe I can. Let me see. No, okay, no, she's leaving. Never mind. So let's see. Worthwhile independence. It was kind of, my mom was stricter on me, but my mom wasn't really strict, if that makes any sense. My brother had like no curfew, but I had a curfew, and I knew she was looking out for me, but at the time I found it really annoying. And especially because I felt like I was raising myself, if that makes any sense. And in college, I really enjoyed the freedom and not having to really worry about my siblings. I was worrying about them, just not at the level I was in high school. I really liked how, something about college, everybody wants to make friends, but no one wants to talk to the person. Like, I'm really bubbly, so every time I'd hear someone complain like, oh, I don't have friends, I want to make friends, but no one wants to like hang out or do anything. Everyone has that same mentality. And it's kind of funny because once you experience your first year, you hear like almost every person say that, and someone has to break the ice. Like, and I think I was that person because I was really determined to make friends my freshman year, because I think I only had one person I went to high school with go to CSUN, but we weren't even that close. So I really had no friends out there. And I think my bubbliness got me friends. And I'm still, the friends that I did make, they ended up dropping out of college, but we still have a really good connection. And I don't know, they're amazing people. And I wouldn't have met them.
We forget it's as easy as just saying, hi, what's your name?
Yeah.
And in college, everyone's from a different place. It's, in my opinion, even easier. Hey, hi, where are you from? And you break the ice so simply. I think after COVID, even in high school, it's harder than ever to kind of get out of our shells and to make friends and to meet new people, even though most people are generally more friendly than we think.
Yes, I do agree with that. Joining clubs, it makes it worthwhile. I didn't really join a club until this past year, which was kind of funny because I joined it because my friends were like, hey, we're already doing URES. You might as well just join this. It's called SACNAS. It's another like I think it was like students in Chicanos, something science. And we mainly it's a lot of outreach, and through that I made friends because it's like maybe 6 to 10 of us at a time. And when you create our agenda for the following meetings, we like go to Starbucks or something. And it's really nice networking with people that are not in your field, if that makes sense, because you get a different perspective. And it could influence if that's something you want to do in the future, if you want to pursue that in the master's. I know some people definitely change their route to something completely different, and that's okay. I don't know if I answered your question. I feel like I got
no, you did. One takeaway I think too from what you said in high school is get involved, but don't overwhelm yourself, and make it more meaningful. Don't spread yourself thin. let me ask for one question or we're not leaving. Anybody can think of one question you might want to ask. How did you overcome, I actually have it written down. I don't know if I asked you, how did you overcome your barriers in life or when you were overwhelmed? Like what do you think advice you would give someone or your brothers or sister or someone in high school? Like what did you do to overcome when things were seemed like such a big deal if something was going wrong?
I'd cry. I
Cry and move on.
I needed a moment to feel everything I was feeling. I'm a big crybaby. So if I do feel overwhelmed, I don't like lashing out at people. I just allow myself to feel everything I'm feeling, and then I just need to relax. I'm like, hey, like I get tunnel vision in that sense. Like I get too overwhelmed, and even too overwhelmed to the point that I don't do anything. So I think one of the moments, okay, so I recently got diagnosed with ADHD, and it was always hard for me to get myself into doing homework or studying, and I would always get sidetracked. So figuring out a plan, I emphasize having a plan, especially if you have an agenda. You could see what you have to do and you can move things around. So agendas are really helpful. I personally don't have an agenda, but I do have like my whiteboard. I don't think you could see it. Oh no, but my whiteboard is like filled with stuff I need to do. So it's right there.
So I think when things get tough, taking a moment to let yourself, like you said, cry, feel what you're feeling, definitely reach out. But you said that more than once. Having a prioritized list, it takes so much energy to get out of it when you're frustrated or depressed or overwhelmed. Having it written down is just like, okay, I need to do that now. And it's not as like, just small decisions are very hard when you're stressed or you're depressed. So having that little to-do list really helps you to kind of just look at it and try to get yourself moving again. So,
and I cannot emphasize rewarding yourself too.
Reward yourself.
After like I did like a big test, or I was really stressed about something going on and I overcame it, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get ice cream now. And I just walked to Rite Aid or something and buy ice cream. Or if it was something really big that I didn't think I was going to finish, I'll go out and like shop or something. And it just, I don't know, it just, my freshman university teacher told me, it was like a class that helps you transition into college, and they told me to reward yourself, and it feels nice. Like it makes me want to do whatever obstacle I did again because the outcome went well.
And you know, it's easier when you're older and you have money too. You could go buy yourself something or go to Starbucks or go get a Chick-fil-A. But even if you don't have money, rewarding yourself could mean go on a walk, go do something you like, go on social media if you've been avoiding it because you're studying. Like doing little things to give yourself rewards that kind of are little motivators that keep you going. You got to have fun sometimes. You got to enjoy and be happy sometimes. It can't always, that was my mistake. It's always work in college, and I didn't take enough time for myself or to be as happy as I should have been. You know, I'm glad I worked hard, but I did go overboard a lot.
I do have one last piece of advice. If you go to a commuter school or just any school, you give what you get. I work on campus, and oftentimes I'm getting calls from parents like, hey, is CSUN a good school? Like, is my student going to get involved? Or here, CSUN's a party school, yada, yada, yada. It's not a party school, but I can't emphasize enough, you get what you get. So the more you are involved with school, the better the experience will be. If you're not as involved, you're gonna, a lot of people that weren't involved, they kind of just did not like CSUN, or they weren't as happy about going to college. It just felt like they had to do it because it was like the next thing to do. So I'm stressing, you give what you get. So if you're not happy with school, join clubs, participate in like, I don't know, a dance class or something. And that's also what I did too.
Our tutor George said the same thing about, let's say, Avid in particular. Like, you're going to get what you put in and what you want to get out of it, and you've got to put in like your part and go kind of kind of in a way want it and
Mhm.
put in the effort and put in and want to do things and get involved. And so I
Yeah.
can see where that there's a lot of truth to it.
Yes.
And then what was the last thing
And
you were going to say? Because we got to go.
I totally forgot, but it was nice talking to you all.
Nice. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you. And I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. I'll talk
Thank you
to
very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my God.